Welcome to the Battleground with JD Hall and Bryce Shaddy, a part of the Running Hook Podcast Network.
Welcome to another edition of the Battleground. We have a new guest this week. So JD, why don't you go ahead and take over the introduction honor?
All right, and since we're going to start this thing hot, I want to start it off the right way. Coming in, reigning champion, the undefeated, the rarely approached but is most definitely greeted, the big dog, the man, the myth, the working on his legacy, JD Hall. And our guest this week, one of my favorite people in the world. I'm so grateful that he had enough heart, enough care, and understanding of what goes on here on the Battleground when he steps in a war. Love him to death. Welcome, my brother, who will be a victim today, the man who came to show you he understands. Sometimes there's a bigger man. Caleb Lynn. Welcome, Caleb Lynn. He's a great host of the show Lynn Sanity, and I want you all to welcome him just like he belongs here.
It's a privilege to be on this platform. It really is. I'm excited to get into the discussions we're getting into, and I've been following you guys the last couple of weeks. I heard my name mentioned like 5 times every other podcast, and it was rumored that there was a possibility that I needed to come in here. So we made it happen. I'm excited to get into these topics, and let's see where it goes.
And this is very exciting because we all know why JD called out Caleb on the last 2 editions of the Battleground. And I do want to just say, Bryce, we just gave Bryce the week off this week. You know, he got back from vacation. You know, want to congratulate him with some very big life news. I don't know if you want to announce that, JD.
Of course, it's the pleasure and an honor to say congrats to my boy Bryce and his lovely fiance on the engagement. Bryce is one of those guys that I see he work hard, and he come in here, he take these beatings from me, he take it like a champ. So I know he will work hard and give her the life that she want and deserves as the queen of his life. So give it up for Bryce. Congratulations, my brother. Can't wait to have you back.
Yeah, shout out to Bryce, shout out to Abby. You know, we're very excited for them. Figured he deserved a week off, came back from vacation, really big week for him. So, just wanted to make his life a little easier, surprise. This is his engagement present, hearing Caleb on the Battleground. So that's going to be his engagement present. So
he can't get much better than that.
I think he probably could, but the problem is we're all broke. So
not all of us.
Okay, Mr. Moneybags, I'm sorry I forgot about you.
You know how it is. We just went shopping. Went shopping. You know what it looked like.
He is correct. For those that have listened to the podcast we put out the Friday before this is going out on Monday the 27th, by the way. The podcast that we put out on Friday the 24th, let's just call it. I'm losing track of days at this point. We did an all NBA pod in person with JD and myself, and we did go shopping. Sources can confirm to Alex Burr and the Running Hook podcast that we did go shopping. But I think that's enough filibustering. I think we've been recording for 5 minutes, and we need to get to the topic at hand. So for those that might have forgotten, it has been a while since we put out a Battleground. We do have topics, and we time them. We try to keep these a little shorter. So this one might be a little longer because there's a lot of topics, and sometimes people can ramble. That happens. But I'm going to set the first topic is going to be for 15 minutes, and then we're going to go down from there because the first topic is the one everyone wants to hear. So Caleb, you're a Cardinals fan. JD, you're a Cubs fan. And since JD's I'll start with Caleb since he's the guest. We'll be polite. We'll have proper manners and etiquette, JD. We'll start with Caleb. Who is going to win the NL Central this season?
None of these teams. I don't believe.
Boys kill.
Here's the thing I would say. I believe when it comes to these two teams specifically, the Cubs they're on a clock. I mean, they just are. The way the roster construction is set up for the Chicago Cubs, the contracts don't look good. And I think when the contracts don't look good, and they're going to have to evaluate how they want to go about their roster moving forward. I think the problem with the Cardinals, as much as I love the Cardinals, and I can go on about them for days, okay? But at the end of the day, I'm having to rely on Dexter Fowler to try to hit home run and Matt Carpenter to get back to a 2015 self that doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon, right? And my core players, the Cardinal core players basically are just going on the downhill. So for me, it's like, okay, how can for the Cardinals, it's about where they can go in a couple of years, in my opinion. How are they going to manage this core and the contracts they've set up? But I really believe that the Cubs are on a clock, to be quite honest with you. I would say for me, I would lean towards the Reds due to their depth and their pitching and the depth that they're going to have 1 through 9. I think they're great this year. I think that if they make a move like they were rumored to get a guy like Francisco Lindor, you're talking about them as for sure top candidates to represent the National League, to be quite honest with you, in the NLCS. For me, it's going to be an interesting year for both of these teams. But, to answer your question, I don't think both will, but I think the Cubs should. I think the Cubs should win the division. I just don't believe they will because I think they're showing right now, even though there's only 2 or 3 games, pitching is a legit issue there.
You know what? As much as I like to say I don't agree with you about the Cubs take, I agree that we're on the clock. But the Cubs win in the division. The Cubs will win the division, hands down. Not only are they on the clock, we have people who are trying to make a case for bigger contracts. And you know what happens contract year? Everybody shows up. We've seen what they did as young pups when they won the championship in 2016. But you know what? Everybody right now has a point to prove. And not only that, with the universal designated hitter, we have Kyle Schwarber. We have Wilson Contreras. We got 2 guys. Not only are they power hitters, they're overrated. Game changers. Overrated.
Kyle Schwarber is overrated. Yes.
Kyle Schwarber
is overrated. Yeah.
Kyle Schwarber is a bomber. He's a bomber. If he connects on any good pitch, it's sayonara. I cannot believe you said he overrated.
He is overrated.
I give you that.
Overrated,
if you think he overrated,
you
can think he overrated. Okay. Why?
Let's look at the numbers at this point. Kyle Schwarber defensively can't give you jack crap. He's better suited in the American League than he is in the National League, JD. His defensive versatility is horrid. He's averaging 250. He finally put up power numbers last season with 38 dingers. But JD, the problem with Kyle Schwarber and the problem with Chicago is Chicago feels like they got to keep everybody. And breaking news, they're not going to be able to keep the cap the way that they're going to be able to. This is going to have to be the year. To me, they should have traded Kyle Schwarber 2 years ago when they had the opportunity to trade him to the Yankees, gain some prospects back, allow your future to continue, grow with this team. Because here's the thing, JD, are you going to choose to keep Kyle Schwarber or are you going to choose to keep Chris Bryant? Because the problem is the Cubs have screwed up Chris Bryant for the last 3 or 4 years. It's embarrassing. It should be embarrassing to you as a Cub fan that they've screwed up Chris Bryant the way they have. And you know what's going to happen? You know what's going to happen? Chris Bryant might walk. He might walk to the Dodgers. Yes, they said it. The Dodgers. Because, JD, the issue with Chicago is they decided to keep all these guys. They won 1 title, and they've underachieved them.
I give you the underachievement. But Chris Bryant got screwed up by the Cubs. Chris Bryant haven't came to play.
Yes!
He haven't came to play. It's clearly been issues in this hitting. Our defense is phenomenal. Okay, Kyle Schwarber may not be the premier defender. Look at what he's surrounded by. Outside of our pitching, he's surrounded by studs. Everybody on our defensive end is elite outside of Schwarber and the pitcher staff.
What happened last year?
What you mean? We had no pitchers.
Well,
our
really
pitchers
had no
suck.
defense either. You really had no defense.
Really?
Yeah, you really.
That is okay. We had to switch some things up due to the Addison Russell issue. But Javi,
fair.
That was a big turn. Outside of that, we was phenomenal until that happened. Outside of our pitching and Kyle Schwarber, our defense is elite. Elite. There's no catcher in the league like Contreras. There's no first baseman who stretches the way Rizzo do, who makes the sacrifice to play. I don't see nobody on the defensive end nearly as talented as Javi Baez. Yes, you can put Javi almost anywhere on the defensive side, and he shuts it down. Chris Bryant, still great defensively. His hitting fell off last year. But back to the couch. Yeah.
Fell off because 287 and 31 diggers falling off.
Yeah. Chris Bryant, not last year, a couple years ago. Last year was a resurgence. Yeah, I worded it wrong. Before then, I couldn't believe Chris Bryant fell off the way that he did. Last year, he started to work his way back. But anyway, why trade? Why trade when everybody is still in the midst of getting what we want? Another championship. Okay, Schwarber, you can say whatever you want. When Schwarber hits the ball, it goes far, far away. It's just like a sweet little princess story. Once he lands, it goes far, far away.
He strikes out 156 times.
Okay. Most power hitters do.
I'm just saying.
Most power hitters are not base hitters.
I agree.
When you look at when it matters most, hence when he came back from the ACL injury in the championship, who was it that turned the series? Hitting. He knocked dingers every time we needed it. You can't deny that Kyle Schwarber is a game changer. When it matters most, Kyle Schwarber shows up. And that's the reason why we haven't made any trades. We have the personnel outside of pitching. Outside of pitching, you can't deny we are a top-notch team.
JD, I'll deny that your team, when you look at it right now and its construction, is great when you look at it for a year. The issue is going to be how they look at the offseason. JD, with the way you're talking about Kyle Schwarber, he should be getting paid. According to your mind, he should be getting paid. Javi Baez, he should be getting paid.
Definitely.
Chris Bryant, you should be getting paid. Wilson Contreras. All these guys, JD, are on 1-year contract. The clock is literally, JD, if they don't get to if they can't get to the division this year, Cubs fans around the league should be flat out disappointed. And they should be disappointed in the stretch that they have had. Because here's the other thing.
It's a disappointment every other year. I'll say that.
Here's the other problem with them, JD. They have a lot of, I know you went on to their pitch, and their pitching sucks. I can't, there's no denying
league,
that.
in my opinion.
And here's the problem, JD, and here's the problem with how bad their pitching is. They signed the pitching, and they paid top dollars for the pitching. I mean, if you look at some of these contracts, JD, that Chicago Cubs have in terms of pitching and what they decided to commit to with guys like John Lester at this point in his career, is absolutely atrocious, JD. It's absolutely atrocious. This man signed for a 6-year, $155 million deal. He gets $20 million. You got Jason Hayward making 21, 22, and 22 million for the next 4 years.
That's y'all fault. That's y'all fault.
Oh, that's not my fault. That's not the Cardinals'
fault. That's the Cardinals' fault.
We got a good year out of him. No, we got a good year out of him. That's your problem. No, that's your problem.
That's the Cardinals' fault.
You Darvish.
You trashed him before we signed him.
Hey, you know what? Here's the thing with Jason Hayward. Jason Hayward was an all-star level player for the Cardinals, and he decided, you know what? I'm going to go to the Cubs and I'm going to get the bag because the Cardinals are smart with their financial negotiations. And here comes another example, JD, another example of Jason Hayward, a player of that contract, ruining your opportunity to convince Contreras, to convince Schwarber, to convince other players that they need to get the bag, because the problem is they're committing huge dollars to players like that, to players like Craig Kimbrell. JD, they have not been the smartest in terms of contract negotiations. And if you're the Chicago Cubs, you're going to have to figure out how to make my signings effective, because Yu Darvish at $22 million is
ridiculous.
And it's
ridiculous.
$21 million for Hayward, $20 million for Lester, $22 million for Darvish. That's ridiculous, JD. You can't defend that. You can't defend.
I will never defend an organizational move made by any Chicago team.
Okay.
It's all terrible. But what I'm saying is, with our personnel, we are definitely contenders outside of pitching. But due to the universal designated hitter rule this year, why can't we win? We have someone in the Cal Schwarber, in the Wilson Contreras. These guys are legit hitters.
Yeah.
They are legit hitters. It gives us opportunity to not only see what it looked like if we take Schwarber from playing defense and say, all right, this is your role, do what you do. I think really that lands us in a great position to win. Now, outside of all of the pitching woes, we have a top-notch defense. We have hitters. We have legit hitters. I will never fall in and say we need to make a trade as of now, because what do everybody need to do as of now? Prove a point and win. We know that all of them have the talent. We know this. When you go in to your contract here as a sports player and a sports fan and these organizations, we all want to see what you bring to the table.
Yeah.
As you stated, all of these guys are coming into that contract year.
Yep.
They all have something to prove. And what I'm saying is, everybody may not be able to come back, which is true. That is definitely true.
Right.
What I would do if I was in the front office, you take advantage of what I just said. Everybody is in this year where they have something to prove. Okay, we can bring back Contreras. We can bring back Javi. Those was our last two All-Stars. Why not? We could bring back KB with a little convincing.
How are you gonna bring it back? The Cubs have tried to screw him the last 3 years. And
no.
you're gonna sit there and tell me that financially you're gonna have the capability to pay Javi Bryant $20 million, to pay Wilson Contreras about $18 million, and Chris Bryant around the $15 to $20 million mark. You're gonna sit here and tell me that all those contracts are gonna work together. That ain't happening. No. Listen.
You didn't let me finish, because as a Cardinals fan, you do what you do best. You start talking. Cardinals fans just don't stop talking. Listen, we definitely going to have to make some trades in the pitching, as we've been trying to do every year. The Cubs always try to trade pitcher. Why? They still suck. We bring in, hey, this might be a trade. Oh, he sucked. We go try to trade him. That's what we do. Somebody always bite on our sorry pitching. I do not know why, but somebody bite on our sorry pitching. So, yeah, the money will be there. Trade Darvish. We trade Darvish. Okay.
Why would I trade for that salary?
I don't know. That's why I said somebody always bite.
Okay.
They bite. We trade Darvish. We trade Lester. Okay. That's a couple mil off our book. All right, KB.
Trade Chris Bryant?
No, listen. Me, KB, I know you said you feel underappreciated. You want something to prove? We throw you this for 1 year. Show us you worth more. Put them back in the same situation.
What?
KB shows up. I'm not trying to lock somebody in who already has trust issues. He got trust issues. Make him prove what he deserves, You trade a couple more pieces, you bring them right back. Simple.
When it comes
in the
to
lose-lose, you have to sacrifice something. I sacrifice him saying, I'm going to have a great year this year and make them have to pay me. You know why? Okay, our pitchers suck anyway. Get rid of them. I'm gonna take on prospects. We ain't been good at it up to this point. And this is the year right now, due to the universal designated hitting rule, everybody has a chance at doing what they need to do. There's no way around it. Financially, we screwed if we don't make trade.
You already
get what I'm saying? So everybody got a point to prove right now. So what do they got to do? They come in, make the Cubs pay. Do their job. Win another chip.
So on that note, we're going to have to wrap it up. Sorry, Caleb, I would have given you more time, but this is a really, really jam-packed episode. And so we're going to go to the most common sports debate show prop, or the most common debate show question, which is LeBron's legacy. But there's a twist. And when JD came up with this question in our chat that we had, I thought this was a really, really smart question. So with all that filibustering out of the way, gentlemen, you have 10 minutes. I think I like announcing the time you have. It makes it sound more official. Who is going to have an increased? Whose legacy is going to have a better jump if they win the championship this season? LeBron James or Kawhi Leonard? JD, since I started with Caleb last time, I'll start with you this time.
It's Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard, without a doubt. First things first. We know that LeBron and Kawhi both are in a situation to make history and win. If they win this season, first player to win in 3 different organizations, right? But this is the twist. LeBron James has already surpassed many greats. The one that he will not pass, no matter what, is Michael Jordan. He's gonna have the greatest stats all time as a player. There's no doubt about it. His longevity, the things LeBron can do, we never seen before at this kind of level. But this where it comes into play for Kawhi. He don't have those stats. He don't have the longevity that LeBron has been able to have. But what does he do have? He have the win percentage, meaning he's a winner all time. He has the stats that says when he plays, he wins. Dominant defender. I mean, he still has more steals than he has fouls. 2-time defensive player of the year. Yeah, that sounds good. But think about the eliteness of Kawhi Leonard. How many MVPs and defensive player, finals MVPs and defensive player of the years are there? Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, Kawhi Leonard. Ooh, that's tough. He's third in all-time playoff scoring. Behind who? LeBron James. Okay, let's dive deeper. How many players has won championships in multiple organizations in history? LeBron James, Green, Kawhi Leonard. How many has won a championship in another country? Kawhi Leonard. How many has won a championship in his first season in another country? Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi is not going to have the stats to say, hey, this is why I'm all-time great. But what you can say is when that moment comes, when it matters most, Kawhi Leonard was there. He won. This will separate him from a lot of people who argue stats is everything because he has the wins for it. And no matter what, next season, LeBron James and Kawhi will have that same opportunity to win next year, pending what the roster moves look like. But they both will be the only 2 players in the situation to win 3 championships, 3 different organizations. But for LeBron, his legacy is pretty much already cemented. He will always be an all-time great. He just won't pass Michael Jordan. For Kawhi, it will cement his legacy as You can't argue I'm not a top 20 to top 10. And if I keep winning, you can't argue I can't push your top 5. So it's definitely Kawhi Leonard. Caleb, what you think, brother?
Well, I've never heard anybody take as long as you did to make your point. But look, I think when it comes to LeBron and Kawhi, I think that the biggest thing in this conversation is I honestly think it's sort of a bland question. And the reason for me saying that is because when it comes to taking a bigger jump, I mean, it's clearly Kawhi Leonard. It's clearly because I think we would all agree that LeBron James is the second best player of all time. So if we look at it from that perspective, if we're looking at a guy who's in that conversation, who's top 5 all time, top 3 all time, I mean, there's no jump, right? So I think when it comes to Kawhi Leonard, there's a greater opportunity to jump, and so I think for me, if he was able to pull it off, I would have to say Kawhi Leonard because I think it's one of those things where. If you're going to see LeBron James as a top player, in my opinion, he's the second best player of all time. And if you have LeBron James in that retrospect, like I do, I think it's pretty tricky to move up that ladder because I agree with you on this, JD, for sure, that Michael Jeffrey Jordan is the greatest player of all time. Let's not do that, all right? Let's make that very clear. But I just think when it comes to the perspective of a bigger jump. I mean, it's not even close, Kawhi Leonard. Because it just when you look at the Clippers and you look at the way their team is, I think they're under more pressure to try to win this season, in my opinion, because they're going to have to really figure out how they want to sign and get Montrezl Harrell and get players like that and want to commit to them. I mean, I feel like Montrezl Harrell is going to want a lot of money this season, and I don't know how much the Clippers can offer. But I think when it comes to a bigger jump, it's got to be Kawhi. I can't the way I see LeBron and view LeBron as the second best player of all time. I think it's I don't know how much of a bigger jump you can connect.
So okay, so going off of that then, and I'll let Caleb start this time. But I want both of you to answer this, and no offense, I kind of want a quick answer from both of you. Where do you have Kawhi currently on your all-time list? And if he wins this one, and that's a big if, he's not going to walk through the West, and he's not going to get through the East team easily. Where do you think he jumps to? You don't have to have an exact spot for Kawhi, but do you have a range that Kawhi's in?
As of now, I'd probably go top 30. If he wins this season, wherever you have Kevin Durant at, put Kawhi above him.
I don't think that answered the question, but I do believe though when it comes to Kawhi Leonard, I think you wouldn't be crazy to have him in your top 20 all time. I would go that far. I think because I agree. I think JD's right. We haven't seen a player do what he has done. If you look at his ability to what he's done in Toronto and what he could potentially do with the Clippers, it's historical. It's remarkable. And winning this championship, I mean, his resume, in my opinion, is very underrated when you look at his career resume and you look at all that he's accomplished, not just the fact that he's won championships, but if you really look at what he adds with that. And so with that being said, I really think you could convince me top 20 all time and probably right in that conversation because defensively, I mean, he's one of the 5 greatest I've ever seen. You could argue he's one of the best I've ever seen. And you look at offensively, he just continues to shine. My only issue with putting him in terms of top 15 or top 10 ranking is I just wish he was playing a little bit more games. I think the injury concern is legit, and I think it's going to affect him if you look at the end of his career. But I think I would probably have him in the top 20. I'd probably have him higher than what JD has. And I think you could even make the argument that Kawhi Leonard is already ahead of Kevin Durant. I think that argument. I think you could make that argument because I think when you look at the accomplishments that Kawhi Leonard has done, and you look at where I don't know. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff there. So I don't really see that as that out of the take. I think there's an argument for Kawhi Leonard being better than Kevin Durant right now.
JD, I'll let you go first, but before the timer runs out, I need to put in my 2 cents. I know this isn't customary on the Battleground, but I know it only happens when Frank Thomas is slandered, but I have to bring in my opinion. JD, go ahead. I'll let you go first.
I think that you got a point there, but you kind of stated most of the things I said, which furthers the point of, as far as his journey, he got one of the most unique journeys, which is why you got to highlight. His stats won't show it. As far as the plan, the nagging injury, but I think that further shows his greatness. I personally have him above Kevin Durant, but as far as when you take into career-wise right now, you can make that argument. Same amount of championships. KD has the stats. KD has the MVP. The Finals MVPs match. The All-Star Games MVP. All of that can even up.
Yep.
But as a winner, somebody who really values winning, that's where these stats kind of don't matter for me when it comes to the top player. That's why I will never say LeBron James, in my opinion, can reach Jordan. I will never say Kevin Durant better than Kawhi. It's things like that. But what I like to finish off saying, in my opinion, Kawhi has made the case top 20. If he wins, he makes the case for top 10 just for the simple fact. And doing what he does, he hasn't been a guy that been a superstar everywhere he been. Just look at the journey. When he got to that point to prove who he is as a superstar, when has he lost? You really can't argue it. And
2013.
Was he a superstar in 2013?
No, but he was showing flashes.
He was a defensive stopper at that time. Once his offense started catching up, 2016, 2017, when he started dominating, we know what happened in Game 1, Western Conference Finals. The San Antonio Spurs was smoking the best team ever ensemble, Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant wasn't no factor until Kawhi went down. It was Steph Curry cooking, and they were still down 20. Zaza Pachulia gives Kawhi Leonard the extra step, take him out, and look what happened. Kawhi misses a whole nother year, comes back in a new country. Okay, I'm here for the season. Hey, Cal, be the best you possible. I'm going to take us there. You help me. We got this. Simple.
So, okay, real quick because we got to move on. JD, that was real impassioned by you. I do want to say, for me at least, you look at all those top 10 guys, right? All those top 10 guys came in as like rookies and started dominating.
Mm-hmm.
And you as much as I don't want to hold that against Kawhi, it's like, Kobe's probably the top 10 player with the worst rookie season. You even want to look at like Shaq and Hakeem, two guys who you would probably put outside of the top 10. Those guys dominated their rookie season. Yeah. Like Kevin Durant. That for me, now, KD Kawhi is going to be real interesting to look at after they retire.
Yeah.
I think that's a real fascinating conversation. I wish we had more time because I would let us dive into that way more. But let's not sleep on KD here. KD's dominated his entire time in the league. Yeah. And let's be real. When he was healthy last playoffs, he was the best player in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I disagree.
He wasn't healthy for 5 games, so that's a huge difference. But
I disagree.
Of course you disagree, but I think it's time to move on. We got some news.
Very
from the NBA
typical of JD Hall.
Batting 1,000 on the catchphrases. Better batting average than Schwarber on his catchphrases. I'll tell you that much. But to continue, so we have some bubble news. So Lou Williams, Clipper, 6th man extraordinaire. I think probably in the running for best 6th man of all time. He's been, he went outside of the bubble, and it turns out he was in Magic City with rapper Jack Harlow. Now, Williams claims, and I believe this claim is backed up by a lot of science, that he was getting wings from Magic City. but still not necessarily a great look for one of your star players to go outside of the bubble and go to Magic City. So I'm going to start with JD because I really have a question. How do you take this Lou Will story? Because it's confusing. It's confusing. But I think there's one right opinion for all this. I'm just curious to see where you guys come at it. So, JD, I'll start with you.
I view it as Lou Williams had to leave for the funeral of someone in the family. On his way back to the bubble, he got hungry, went to his favorite restaurant to get some food, went in and out, seen Jack Harlow. Harlow wanted to take a picture. Okay, cool. That's all I really see it as. The man wanted his favorite restaurant food. He was on his way back to the bubble where you ain't go get the same thing. He was hungry. I really don't know no other way to put it. I think that it was within the right to go get some food.
Yeah.
I really don't see the reason why it's been taken every other way but that. He made it known plenty of times. When he talked to Rose, he told her the same thing. I go to Magic City for the wings. I love the wings. Shannon Sharp came out, said the same thing. Everybody's saying the same thing. I think it's being made bigger than what it is. Simple.
So, okay, before I go to you, Caleb, I agree with JD, but do you think, just like PR-wise, that it's a bad look for a guy to go out of the bubble, this really secure place, and even if he is just getting wings, like going to a strip club to get the wings, do you just think that's a bad look?
Yes, it's a bad look. It's an absolute bad look. Now, I think, JD, the reason I want to really go at your point here on why people care. Well, I mean, let me ask you this question. JD. You're one of the bigger Clipper guys I know. Do you believe the Clippers are making the finals? And if that's the case, you would have to presume that Lou Williams will have a pretty significant role. And depending on the situation and how they would handle the quarantine process, which right now is only a 10-day process for Lou Williams, that is a player that makes a significant difference on the Clippers' trajectory. He is a guy that you sit there and say he is arguably their third best player, and you have to take that lightly. You can't take that lightly. I do agree that in a sense it's overblown, but the reason the coverage is there is because basketball-wise, he's significantly impacting the team. He impacts them offensively. He gives them a totally different dimension. It allows Paul George and Kawhi Leonard to have a little bit more thinking on the defensive side of the ball as well when you got a scorer like Lou Williams, how he's able to put in buckets like nobody's business. But, I mean, JD, like the whole idea that, I don't think it was necessarily wrong. But I think the coverage of this, the idea of this being overblown, I disagree. I mean, when you look at the Clippers, you're thinking championship level team. And if Lou Williams, has the potential to be out for a while because of the situation and maybe jack up chemistry or who knows, then yeah, that's something you have to consider because, I mean, they're going to, I think it's very fair to say that the Clippers are favorites for many to at least get to the Western Conference Finals, at least. And so to me, it's like, if you lose a player of that caliber and, I don't care what it is, then yeah, it's going to be covered. It's going to be talked about a lot.
Yeah, but at the same time, he left because of a real life issue. It's not as if he just left the bubble to go get wings.
Right.
He left due to a family member passing. Mm-hmm. On the way back, he stopped by his favorite restaurant. And I understand, yeah, he's significant. Okay, well, let's just take it as real life happening for so many players that has left.
Yeah.
If Austin Rivers is caught out buying some shoes and he get a picture taken, is it as significant? Are they gonna make as big of a deal? He stopped and did something on his way back. I just feel like as far as it goes for Lou Will, got his favorite food on the way back to the bubble.
So I got a question. I really just want a yes or no answer, but if you guys want to delve a little deeper, it's fine. What the hell is going on with Jack Harlow that he's posting a picture with an NBA player in a strip club? Like what?
Free pub.
I mean, I guess this must be great for Jack Harlow's publicity. You know, you got all these NBA fans, but still, just like, what are you doing, man? You know, like, you're blowing up the spot. Okay, so Caleb, going off of your last point, do you think this is a deal at all if that picture isn't taken?
Not into the public eye. I mean, I think the NBA needs to look at it from the They did. They did investigate. Players are coming out on the record saying this is the safest place they can be, right? And so I think the NBA, is handling it in a way that they should. They're investigating. They're trying to figure out exactly what happened. They want to double check their situations, and I don't see any problem. I don't see any problem in the NBA doing that. But I think because the picture was taken, the public eye noticed it more. The public is going to generate a bigger deal out of it than it should. But in terms of the way that the NBA is going about it, no. The NBA is handling it in a way that I think they should, and it's really top-notch work, I think, by the NBA to say, let's just investigate this and figure this out and effectively manage this so that Lou Williams and the Clippers can go play basketball. That's what it comes down to, and I think that's smart. Because at the end of the day, it's about safety during this time. It's about safety to make sure that these players are not going to get sick, make sure that players are not going to, be affected in terms of what's all happening around the, COVID-19.
Anything to add to that, JD?
Not this time.
Not this time. So, I think we can move off of this, give us a little more time for other subjects. But before we move on, JD, again, another yes or no answer. Should Magic City just give Lou Will free food for the rest of his life? This is great publicity for them. I'm curious to hear what you think.
Definitely.
Caleb?
No. I would say no. Because, you got celebrities coming out all over the place saying it's great food, it's great everything, it's great. I think it's just an unfortunate incident. I don't understand why he deserves free food for life.
They only saying it because he got in trouble for it.
No, for the record, I have heard Lou Will say before this. I don't remember where. I think I might have read this on Twitter. Lou Will has a great Twitter presence, by the way. Like, he's a really funny dude, you know. And by the way, I don't know if we could have expected anything less from a dude that actively walked around with 2 girlfriends a couple of years ago. You know, just like did this in public. I mean, Lou Will's just like a legend, but no, I've heard him say that he doesn't go to Magic City for the strip club element of it. He goes for the wings. So that, like, I've heard, like, I don't remember when or where I heard it, but I know he said that before. So it adds, like, his story adds up. It just is like, it's kind of weird.
Right.
It really, I think the jokes are funnier than anything else, but I just think that this is an interesting story, but this leaves us an extra 2 minutes. I don't know where I'll allocate it to yet. Probably to the one of our future stories. But so another bit of NBA news. Domantas Sabonis of the Indiana Pacers, who people who listen to this podcast might know pretty well, pretty important guy. He left with a significant foot injury. So he was an all-star this season, really big part of their success with Victor Oladipo out. My question is, I'll start with you, JD. Can the Pacers win a playoff game without Domantas Sabonis? 10 minutes on the clock, starting now.
Playoff game? Of course. Everybody wins a game. I say they can win a playoff game. A series? No. Not one. Especially if they go against Miami. I'll let you go, Caleb. There's nothing more to need to be said after that.
The thing that I think people need to understand, they're going to win a playoff. Okay, I don't want to dispute that, right? But in a series, and especially with who the potential matchups are between a Boston or a Miami, no, they're not winning those series. I agree with JD 1,000%. They're not winning those series. I think the real question for the Pacers is, to me, is if you can, with all that's happening with Sabonis and Vic, I think it's going to be very fascinating to see how the Pacers handle it. Because do they sit there and say, you know what, we're going to play Goga. We're going to play to get him some developmental minutes. We're going to play TJ Leaf. Are you going to go in that direction so that you can allow these younger guys to really ascend? Or are you? I think that part of it to me is very fascinating, because I mean, when it comes to when you face a team like Miami, I mean, we don't need to get into Bam. I mean, this group right here on this podcast loves Bam Adebayo, so let's not dispute that. But I mean, really, to me, the bigger issue for the Pacers, if they faced a team like the Heat, is the depth down low that the Heat have. You're not going to sit there and say, "Wow, did you see that unbelievable, outstanding post move by Myers Leonard?" But you're going to sit there and say that's quality depth. You're going to sit there and say that's a good big man. Kelly Olynyk, you're going to say the exact same thing. He's a good big man. You're not going to be wowed by him, but they're good. They're just good. And the Pacers drop off after Sabonis and Turner is so substantial. It's absolutely insane. And so when it comes to facing a team like Miami and Boston, I mean, you're gonna need guys like Domantas Sabonis to put up those 20 and 10 moments that you need your stars to put up in the postseason.
I do want to add in on that. I completely agree. Sabonis, he was an all-star for a reason. He don't have the game that oohs everybody.
Yeah.
He has a classic game where he's going to dominate you down low. He can pass the ball. Look at the last two games before the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
28 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists versus Boston. Playoff team, potential matchup versus Dallas. 20 points, 17 boards, 6 assists. These are not just numbers you can grab anybody and say, go put up. Sabonis is a huge piece of the team. Second best player as far as just what he means to the team. Brogdon is a huge part of his success, yeah. I like to think. But at the same time, I really believe that losing Sabonis means you're losing pretty much the only force you got outside of Vic that can be unstoppable in moment. Sabonis is a big game changer, and I don't really see them being able to recover from losing Sabonis, especially not in a timely fashion of the playoffs is right around the corner.
Yeah.
Literally a week away. And I don't really see a way that they can combat anything that Miami or Boston will throw at them, because I don't really see much of depth coming from Indiana anyway, due to the injuries that they have faced this season.
Yeah.
Jeremy Lamb being gone is huge.
Mm-hmm.
He arguably best bench player that they had. He was starting, in my opinion, due to the fact that Vic was gone. You can't move TJ Warren to the bench. And y'all know how I love to get on TJ Warren when it comes to Jimmy. But I'm going to be real. TJ Warren is not coming off the bench. He's too good to come off the bench for that team.
Yeah.
He's a solid player.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a top scorer, but he's not the same kind of impact player as anybody else on the team as a Sabonis.
And JD, to add on to your point a little bit, and it goes into depth, but I think this is a really valid point when you talk about Indiana. The other big thing with Indiana is they like to maul with two big things on the court. They like that opportunity to present challenges with Sabonis and Turner. And then what they like to do is potentially have a smaller guy like a Justin Holiday come in and play power forward. I don't believe, JD, that can work for a ridiculous or long period of time. I think it's something you do in spurts, and I think that's gonna really hurt the Pacers in that sense. Because as I've been pleading on the Linsanity for multiple times when talking about the Pacers, and I know that you guys have been on there with me as well to discuss this, they are desperate. And I think they've been desperate to try to find a nice veteran power forward who's got the ability to stretch it out, give them some really quality play, because TJ Leaf ain't doing crap for you. All right, he's not doing crap. All right, he's as good as me just eating McDonald's, right? I mean, he's useless. Okay, and then you got Goga. You got Goga, meanwhile, who, God bless his soul, cannot run up the court. I mean, Goga beat a deep, they can't even run up the court. I mean, God bless. Everybody comes out like he's his first round draft pick, all that in a bag of chips, yada, yada, yada. Well, he doesn't play jack crap. He doesn't play jack crap. All of a sudden, he gets the NBA, and it's like, oh, my gosh, the athleticism of these guys. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I can't do anything. They're not going to play in the post anymore. I'm not in the freaking 80s. So what am I going to do? Like, the problem with the Pacers, they don't even have a modern backup big man. And they're gonna sit there and basically have two guys who at this point are as good as my McChickens that I'm eating. They're pretty much useless. And so I think when it comes to even that small ball lineup they like to do, I don't see that being something that they go to in terms of trying to replace in the starting lineup. I mean, I think Jakar Sampson's a very good story. I think he's a cute story, but I just, in terms of really being able to give you productive starter minutes, I don't see him being a legit answer there either. So I think this is I honestly think this is a bigger deal that he's not playing than if Vic was not playing. I think this is a bigger deal for the Pacers because I trusted in the Pacers guard depth more than I do in the Pacers front court depth. I think Aaron Holiday's a really nice player. I think Edmund Sumner's a really nice player, and I understand they lost Jeremy Lamb, but I think their guard depth is really good. It's been really good, and so I obviously when you lose a player like Vic or had the potential to lose a player like Vic, it sucks, right? But the depth behind you, if you're a Pacers fan, you're like, yeah, I'm okay with that. I can live with that. My depth is fine. I can manage minutes effectively. When it comes to how replacing Sabonis or even replacing Miles Turner, the depth is not. It's just not. It's not there. And even though I really believe that Bam is somebody who's not going to take you or dominate you physically, but more so with his ability to play make and his ability to get guys involved and his ability to just kind of know his spots. I don't think he's going to try to look at dominating. He's going to probably dominate TJ Lee physically and Goga physically, but I just think it's going to be one of those things where it's like, if you're Indiana, this is a big loss. And I already didn't like the fact that you could potentially play Miami. I didn't like that anyway. And then now you're going with Sabonis out and having TJ Leaf in, who's just a bunch of useless crap. I mean, just so incredibly useless. I mean, just it's horrible. And for that reason alone, Pacers won a playoff game, like JD said. It's a cute story, but they're not winning.
Just to add on real quick, Caleb, I love you just tore down that team. I just want to add this on real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
There is no way they match up with Miami. I wish they would put T.J. Warren on Jimmy. Don't put T.J. Warren on Jimmy. Play him at the 4. Keep Miles at the 5. Play T.J. at the 4.
That's not a bad lineup, though.
You put T.J. on Jimmy. He's a dead man.
But JD, TJ Warren. I'm sitting in the guy that thinks TJ Warren's an all-team defender. I'm sitting in that chair. I'm sitting in that chair. I think he's such a great defender. He's an all-NBA defender, JD. He's so good on defense. He's gonna do what he needs to do against the 6. He's gonna do it. He's gonna be able to lock him down so easily. This is what the person that I'm replacing is saying. JD, come on now. Come on.
I'm sorry. Hey, let me just add this. Jimmy was 5 or 6, 14 points. They was up 30. Oh, great defense, TJ. Great defense. I'm sorry. Do not put TJ Warren on Jimmy. Play him at the 4. Let somebody else kill him.
Oh, okay.
Put somebody else on Jimmy. Do not put TJ. It's a hit on his head. Jimmy is going to kill him. Don't put him over there. Don't put him in the game. Put him in the clutch in the scrub minutes. If he's on the court and Jimmy is out there, it's a dead man walking. I'm sorry. Grab the shovel. Put him in the grave early if TJ is on the court with Jimmy. It's over with. I'm sorry. Dig his grave. Undertaker. Please, bury man alive. He bury him alive. It's over with. I'm sorry. Don't do it. Don't do it, Bryce. I'm sorry. Don't come back after this. Don't.
Oh my God.
It's my job. It's my job to just speak what Bryce is saying. I mean, I know Bryce is a very pro TJ Warren type of guy defensively, and respectfully so. He's a very good defender, but all defender.
We got to change subjects, but I think that was the remember what I said at the beginning of the podcast about this being Bryce's engagement present? I don't think it is anymore. I think we're past that point. I think that's all gone away. But to move on, huge NFL trade this weekend. Jamal Adams went to the Seahawks. The New York Jets got a first and third round pick and some other players, but it's the Jets, so I don't really want to talk about them. Frankly, if you talk about the Jets, you're kind of just wasting, airspace in life. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to talk about this trade from the Seahawks perspective. I don't remember who I started with last time, but I'm going to start with Caleb. Caleb, how do you think this trade impacts the Seahawks, and does it make them title contenders?
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yes, they're a team that I think when you're thinking of it from John Schneider, the GM of the Seattle Seahawks, you're thinking to yourself, I have a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. I have a team that is well capable. And when you have a quarterback like this and a player and really a franchise, the coaching is a part of it as well, and you really trust in what you have foundationally, then you make those risks and you go in, right? And you try to go for this. And so for me, this is Seattle saying, we're looking to win in the next 2 to 3 years with the franchise pieces we have and the contract we have. And yes, I absolutely think they're Super Bowl contenders. I think the division that they're in is going to be very fascinating. And I don't know if that's another different topic. But when it comes to this trade and if they're Super Bowl contenders, without a doubt, to me, they're Super Bowl contenders. They're right in that mix. I mean, if you power rank them, for me, if I had to say them right off the top of my head, it's really tough to not think that New Orleans is still better than that. But I think Seattle, you could argue, is right along that 2 to 4 range in terms of NFC representatives for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, piggybacking off of that, I completely agree that I probably still have New Orleans just a edge over them. If not, I'll say they tied because I think that with both of their personnel, they are teams that offensively, you know what they're going to give. Defensively, you know they top notch. Adding Jamal Adams, I would say that includes a young player who fulfills his role and gives more in other areas. So I probably say Seattle may be a little more versatile defensively just because of all that he can do. But if they do come down the face of New Orleans, he's gonna have to pretty much play different parts at different clutch moments because that's the kind of personnel New Orleans got. But do I think that make them contenders? Definitely. They were already contenders that just up their chances. I really love the pickup on it.
And JD, to add on to that, this is a team that when they have a high-level secondary, this is a team that's used to having top 5 secondary. Let's not let go of it. This is a team that's been used to top 5 secondaries. This last season, they finished 22nd on Pro Football Focus in terms of opponent QBR rating. That's not what you want. And so I think when you look at it from the Jets, and when you look at it from the Seahawks, they're a team that they've always been about great pass defense. They've always been about that. And so for them, this is their Cam Chancellor 2.0 Megatron freak that's just going to come in and give you this, ultimate highlight. He's going to give you a highlight reel. He's going to be able to stop people on the run. He's going to be able to, defend the elite. I like him against George Kittle. Sign me up for that. There's going to be matchups where you're going to see the Seattle Seahawks fare really well because of this move. And I know Alex doesn't want to quickly get into the Jets. I want to get quickly into it. The Jets can't get a much better haul than what they did. And I think when you look at it from the Seattle Seahawks point of view, this is the best that they can do. Seattle's going to get a player that changes the defense. And this is what you have to pay up to get a superstar in this league. That's just what you pay up. That's point blank. Khalil Mack with the Chicago Bears, what you got to do, you got to flip 2 first round. Jalen Ramsey, what you got to do, flip 2 first round. You got to be willing to do that in the NFL to get elite level talent. And for crying out loud, I mean, when you look at Jamal Adams' age, I almost feel like I had to like pause for like 5 minutes, thinking my computer was still loading because I couldn't believe he was only 24 years old.
He's a baby in the league.
He's a baby. He's 24. I mean, he's going to have so much more in the chest you would think if he's healthy and I mean, in terms of exciting players defensively, that's that type of dude. He's a superstar in the league, and you got to make that move if you feel like you can win now. And Seattle believes that because you don't make that move unless you believe you can win a Super Bowl in the next 1 to 2 years.
Exactly, and I really love it. Just that you just said that they in win now mode. He's a guy you can hold for the future. He's only 24, and Richard Sherman, one of my favorite cornerbacks all time. I love Richard Sherman. People used to think Richard Sherman was a ball stopper on a run. Come on. Jamal Adams is...
Oh, boy.
I think he's better. I think he's better just for the simple fact. Look at where he's coming from. The way that he moves into every scene. It's like he's playing running back on the defensive end. He sees every hole before it even developed. And the way he stuffs them, 6.5 sack, 6.5 sack, ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous coming from where he come from and the way he covers elite wide receivers. And he's only 24. You have him, barring any injury, the next 7 years, he could still be a top cornerback.
He's the top defensive back in the league. Yep. Safety, but yeah. No, JD, you're wow.
I really love it. I really love it.
Yep.
It's pretty much none left for me to add on that. I love it for him. New York, you still gonna suck. Take those prospects and do what you can.
I mean, it sounds like Jamal Adams was one of those prospects. So, you got to start back. Seems to be the New York sports life cycle that isn't the New York Yankees. You have to always go back to square one. Speaking of New York sports teams, here's what we'll do with our extra minutes from our other topic. This is the New York Knicks. Tom Thibodeau, new coach of the New York Knicks. He is, as you know, he used to coach the Chicago Bulls. He used to coach the Minnesota Timberwolves. He was an assistant on the 2008 Celtics, a.k.a. the most overrated team of all time. So, wow. Caleb, I'll start with you. How do you think the Thibodeau signing for the Knicks improves the team? I'm going to give this topic 8 minutes.
It doesn't. I'll answer that for you. It doesn't improve the team. He's a guy that has respect around the league as a solid coach. And I'm not trying to sit here and say that Tom Thibodeau is a bad coach. But it's not gonna work when your roster construction is as young as the New York Knicks are. I mean, for crying out loud, okay, Tom Thibodeau is going to make Taj Gibson have the cane every other game simply because of the fact he's just going to gas him out. And Taj Gibson at this point in his career is not going to give you numbers that are going to do anything for you. And if you're the New York Knicks, you have Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson that you need to develop and you need to continue to improve in terms of that duo. And if you're going to play Taj Gibson's grandpa self 35-something minutes a game, that's not going to give you any good. And if you run R.J. Barrett the whole way and you give him like 40-plus minutes, that's not really going to do you good either. This team also, Alex, it is so much bigger than coaching. It's so much bigger than coaching. I mean, for God's sake, the New York Knicks have a legitimate problem at ownership. James Dolan is useless. I don't care who the coach is. I don't care if you get Phil Jackson from Chicago. James Dolan is a useless owner. And as far as I'm concerned, if you're the New York Knickerbockers, you're sitting there like, you're just like Jacob Keaton. You're just heartbroken in your bed or something, crying out in your pillow. I mean, for God's sake, I mean, the New York Knicks are going to be a terrible team. Tom Thibodeau getting 5 years is a travesty within itself because you know he ain't going to make more than 3 years before he gets fired, because they're going to be incompetent. And you sit there and you look at the Knicks, you're like, this is a young roster. This is not – Tom Thibodeau is better suited with a roster more veteran built and with more of a culture that's about trying to take a next step in terms of, like, trying to get a team to the playoffs or trying to get a team to go from the playoffs to winning a first-round series. That's what Tom Thibodeau does for you. Tom Thibodeau is not going to sit there and work with a young team anchored by R.J. Barrett and Mitchell Robinson, because all he'll want to do is try to sign Lance Thomas back and then try to get Taj Gibson back on the Bulls. And you're sitting there just like, why? Because Mitchell Robinson is a total beast. And you know for a fact, JD, you know for a fact, Tom Thibodeau is going to play Taj Gibson's grandpa self 40-plus minutes a game. You know it. You know it better than anybody. It's a Chicago Bull guy. You know it. You know it. I have to sit there and explain it to you, okay? I mean, we both know this, all right? So when it comes to the Knicks, all right, Tom Thibodeau is going to make it useless. It could potentially be even worse. It has the potential to be even worse, all right? Because while you got a good basketball mind there, this is a horrible team for that type of guy to go. It's just it's horrible. And if you think Karl Anthony Towns is going to go to the New York Knicks because of his buddy connection with Leon Rose and Tom Thibodeau, you must be out of your damn mind.
You want to hear something crazy? I think that is real good. I think that is good for just a couple reasons. One being, I love Taj Gibson. Give my man some clock, baby. Let my mans play.
Oh, he'll give him the clock. 40-plus minutes a game. You know it.
But
we love
also,
Taj Gibson.
Also,
fact of the matter.
Yeah, I really do.
I like him too. I'm just saying he's going to play at 40 minutes a game, but that's an issue if you're the Knicks.
And another thing, Bobby Porter's left Chicago. I'm pretty sure he gonna like Bobby. He gonna give Bobby some clout. But really, honestly,
you better hope Mirotic doesn't come to the Knicks then.
No, Mirotic better hope he don't get to the Knicks. He was the one that left with a messed up face. But honestly, in all honesty, you was completely right. The Knicks have an issue much bigger than coaching. That until they change from the top of the organization,
yeah,
the players won't have nothing to play for. They already don't have nothing to play for. It's a shame that when you think of the Knicks, you think of how great it is to blow out a team in Madison Square Garden. Madison Square Garden should be somewhere that the players look forward to coming into, that play for Knicks and say, I want to defend this with my life.
Yeah.
They hate going to Madison Square Garden because of who the owner is. As you go down bit by bit of the organization, it's terrible. It's terrible.
Hey, JD, on January 31st of 2019, they traded a star for Dennis Smith Jr., DeAndre Jordan, Wesley Matthews, and a bunch of scrubs.
Hey,
so, I mean, it's all over. It's all over.
And guess what they think? They think they won that trade. That's the sad part. They think that they built to contend for the future. Yes.
And they thought those Mavs draft picks were going to be lottery picks.
They did.
Whoops.
They said, hey, DeAndre Jordan, come on in. He's across town to Brooklyn. Dennis Smith Jr., be who Dallas thought you were going to be. At times.
Yeah, at times.
I love Dennis Smith Jr. I was big on him coming out, but
the Knicks ruined him too.
Yeah, he's on the Knicks. Yeah, what development does he get outside of being able to see a great city? Because he don't get none within the arena. Oh, he gets to be part of everybody's highlight show. I guess that's great. The only reason I like it, I think Thibodeau is a good coach. For the young guys, they'll have opportunity to play and learn the meaning of hard work. I just hope that their knees don't become everybody that played for the Bulls or Timberwolves. Because literally, before Jimmy got hurt, they was the 4th seed. Everybody gave Jimmy crap about being one of those guys that said, I'm going to be on the All-Star team but not play. But the reason he didn't play was because he told Tibbs, my knees are shot. Tibbs play on the next 2 games, 42 minutes. Jimmy hurt into the last 3 games of the season.
JD, the other thing with the Knicks is, so Dennis Smith's a talented player. And if you're a competent coach, if you're developing this team right, you're going to try to develop this guy. But Tom Thibodeau is also looking at that lineup, and he's like, wow, I got Wade Ellington, 10 years of professional basketball. You know what I'm going to do? Play him 30-plus minutes a game. And I'm going to make him look like freaking Kirk Heinrich out there on the catch-and-shoot 3. I mean, for crying out loud, when it comes to the Knicks, the potential of this team, the talent level is not even going to get out of there. I mean, if I'm a young player, like if I'm like Kevin Knox, I'm like, yeah, sayonara. My career is pretty much over with Tom Thibodeau as a head coach. I know I ain't playing. Or I'm going to look like Tony Snell out there on the basketball court rather than a top, pick in the first round. So the Knicks are in jeopardy. They're just all the way around.
And so this leads perfectly to our transition to the Callout Corner. I told the guys that we had a guest call-out. I didn't tell them who it was from. I got our boy Zach Griffith to record a call-out on the New York Knicks. Now I'm going to put it in. It's a long call-out. So I'm just warning you in advance, but it's well worth the length of the call-out.
Hello, everybody. I'm recording this on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. You may have heard within the past couple days here, the Knicks, season 21 of the longest running sitcom in TV history. The Knicks hired Tom Thibodeau as their coach. 5-year deal. If you're a betting man, William, I know you're listening. You got to hammer the under on this 5-year deal. My ass, he's finishing this whole contract out. There is not a chance this man is finishing this 5-year contract with the Knicks. You look at the coaches, Tom Thibodeau's a pretty big name coach, and I think he's a good coach. He's got a rep for, being hard on his guys, but quite frankly, to me, it's NBA. It's the toughest level of basketball in the world. So you need a guy who's going to be a little hard on you. But going back to the Knicks, they get a big name guy, but if you're a Knicks fan, you probably have no reason to be excited because you've had big name guys before. This whole decade, you've had Lenny Wilkins, you've had Larry Brown, you've had Mike D'Antoni, Mike Woodson, not a big name guy, but a decent coach. So you've had these guys, and what has happened? Not shit. It should be a good hire on paper. It should be. But because it's the Knicks, because James Dolan's the owner, because they have the most grossly incompetent track record that maybe we've ever seen in the NBA, it's kind of tough if you're a Knicks fan, I would have to think, to get excited of this hire because, you have an owner that gets involved too much. He hires these guys to run the basketball operations side, but he's constantly interfering. He's constantly working behind the scenes against the guys he hired to make the decisions. So I'm sitting here right now. I am of the utmost confidence. I would bet my life Tom Thibodeau is not going to be the Knicks coach for the whole of this contract. I mean, there's just no way in hell. There's no way in hell. Now, are they going to be better off because of this? Yeah, probably. They're probably not going to be in last place in the Eastern Conference. They might beat out Cleveland, Atlanta, Charlotte. They might beat out those teams. Is that saying much? Fuck no. No, it's not. But you're moving up. The Knicks, I don't know what the status is on this this other bubble in Chicago, but I haven't heard much about it in a few weeks, so I'm gonna assume it's not gonna happen. So we get spared another couple Knicks games. But I'm looking at this article from the New York Post. Tom Thibodeau, a perfect fit for the Knicks, says Joakim Noah, who, oh, by the way, the Knicks are still paying, but that's for another time. Another New York Post article. This is laughable. Oh, my God. I got to make sure this is New York Post, not The Onion. Oh, my God. This is a real headline, folks. Knicks hope Tom Thibodeau can be their Tom Coughlin. My God. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Tom Coughlin, a 2-time Super Bowl champion with the Giants. You really think Tom Thibodeau's the guy to lead the Knicks to 2 championships? I'm sorry. I don't think so. Oh, my God. That is the Post. That's not The Onion. My God. Wow. Here's another thing from Yahoo. David West upset. The Knicks are hiring Tom Thibodeau. Why is David West upset? Let's see here, folks. Why is he upset? Oh, man. Oh, okay, I see. He's upset because the Knicks didn't hire a minority coach. But that's fair. But James Dolan also hasn't said shit about the George Floyd stuff, so no surprise there. But, I like Tom Thibodeau. He's a good coach. I think he's a good coach. He was a good assistant coach with the Celtics. He was a hell of a coach for the Bulls. I mean, that's the last time the Bulls were any good. It was when Tibbs was the coach. And, his time with the Timberwolves was probably doomed to fail from the start because there are only so many guys who are made out to be coach and GM at the same time, and he's not one of them. He's just not. He had the whole thing with Jimmy Butler. Couldn't quite get the young guns to buy into the system, which, is a problem, especially there. But again, this shouldn't be anything new to Tom Thibodeau working in a competent organization. I mean, he's just going from one to the other. But, this call-out corner might have been brief, but maybe it wasn't. I don't know how long I went. I just love shitting on the Knicks. If you're an avid listener of the Running Hook podcast, one of the staples of this, besides the many sayings of Caleb Lynn, is me shitting on the Knicks. So there you have it. Tom Thibodeau going from one incompetent organization to the next. My God, we're in for. I mean, is he the best coach they could have hired? Probably. But it's hard to get excited about this if you're a Knicks fan because you just have an owner that gets way too involved. And it's just impossible to get around. So, Jacob Keith, I'm sorry. If you were a fan of any other team when you hired Tom Thibodeau, you'd probably be excited. But I'm guessing you're not. And for good reason. So, this was the call-out corner with the Knicks and Tom Thibodeau. More so the Knicks and Tom Thibodeau. I mean, it's just, I'm not calling out Tibbs for taking the money, taking the 5-year deal, which is pretty long for a coach. But, very typical of the Knicks to overpay for a coach. And, he's going to be fired in probably 3 years, maybe less. So this has been the call-out corner, and I'm glad I could get my 2 cents in. So thank you very much.
Transition on to our other call-outs. Caleb, since you're the guest, I'll let you start with your first call-out.
Well. Call-out corner. The famous call-out corner, which my name has been mentioned more than anybody's. So I'm thankful I'm actually not really mentioned per se. I'm just kind of, calling out other people.
It's respect on it, brother.
Exactly. I'm calling out Derek Cox. I'm putting him to his grave. When it comes to quarterback, when it comes to the NFL, I'm putting him to his grave. I'm I'm gonna put Derek Cox in the grave with quarterbacks. I mean, I might as well bury him alive. The fact that he believes Mitchell Trubisky is a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield, you must be out of your freaking mind. You must be out of your mind in terms of understanding talent. Okay, understanding talent. That's just delusional thinking. I mean, that is so incredibly delusional. And so, for that reason alone, I just kind of just want to see where he is on quarterback so I can bury him alive. And then the next guy that I would like to mention in my call out corner, I kind of want to understand why Bryce Shadé is a little bit like he's super calm on the Red Sox, right? He's super calm on the Red Sox. And so for that reason alone, I'd like to have a conversation with Bryce on the Red Sox. Because, I mean, with all due respect, they're still finding ways to win in the last 20 years. But I just gotta wonder where the Red Sox are heading right now. So for that reason alone, I would like to kind of see and like to hear Bryce's thoughts. I'm not really trying to go on for a full-out debate. I mean, with Derek Cox, I'm trying to go on a full-out debate. I'm trying to bury this man alive when it comes to quarterback rankings. But when it comes to conversation, I want to have a conversation with Bryce on the Boston. That's it. Those are my two.
Go to the Linsanity and light them up. I'm in full support of Caleb because even as a Bears fan, there's no way I think Mr. Trubisky even deserves a starting spot. He's not top 30 if you put him on anything.
You think he's on what type of drug is he on right now? Honestly, I mean, can I get on that? Can I get on that while watching the Bears play? For God's sake.
Listen, I'm so glad that he won't be starting this year. If he start this year, we'll be a lottery team. We get first pick. We get first pick.
Exactly.
But I'm loving this. I ain't never had nobody else in the call-out corner doing what I love to do. So since we doing that, I'm going to bring in an interesting WNBA blasphemous fan. Not because the team, it's because his reasoning. Ryan Gregory, I love you, RG, but you got to come in here. I will not take this bandwagoning. I'm sorry. The Aces have great players, but you're not going to bandwagon while I'm around. No. And last but not least, double corn law. Let's go. The surprise guess is who I want. Let's go, Zach. I hate all of this Paul George madness that you put into the air. I hate it. I don't care if Bryce is on your side. You can come with everybody from Indy. I do not care. I'm tired of the disrespect y'all get of Paul George. It's ridiculous. I want everything you have to come with. Bring facts, bring opinions, bring your feelings, bring some paper towel and tissues, because you going to leave here in your feelings, baby. I'm going to cradle you. This is ridiculous. Put some respect on Paul George's name.
Oh my God. And then for the final call out corner, I'm calling out Caleb Lynn. I'm just kidding. Not calling out Caleb Lynn. I thought it would have been funny to continue the streak. No, I'm calling out myself for being a Chicago White Sox fan. As we're recording this, they are down 13-2 in the top of the ninth. They've allowed 13 runs on 12 hits. So I'm calling out myself. Why do all the teams I love suck? Hopefully Caleb tells me they have a good shot at making the playoffs this year. I changed my call out. I'm not calling out the White Sox. I hate the Twins. The Twins can go fuck themselves. You can put that on wax. I don't care. The Twins, I hate the fucking Twins. They're the fucking worst. Joe Mauer can fuck himself. Justin Morneau, Johan Santana. Who else am I missing? I like Kirby Puckett because he has a fun name. But other than, he's the only Twin that I'll accept.
Miguel Sano, Dimitri Young,
can go fuck himself.
Delman Young.
Michael Kadire can go fuck himself. All these Twins, they can go fuck themselves. You could put that on wax. And I think on that note, this is about as angry as I've been in in months because I'm naming twins. Because I hate them. I hate them all. I hate Joe Nathan. I think that's the closer, right? He was the closer for the Twins. Joe Nathan, do I have that right, Caleb?
You do have that right. Joe Nathan was.
He can go fuck himself.
Okay.
I hate the Twins. I hate them. I only have one good Twins memory in my life. That's 2008, baby. We beat them 1-0 to make the playoffs. We've sucked ever since. So, fuck them.
The Twins have not done a whole lot recently up until really.
They ruined my childhood.
Okay. That's what Kelvin Sampson is for me, so I understand.
So, on that note, I think this was by far the most riveting episode of the Battleground. It's the most I've ever laughed. Now, granted, we've only done 3. But, Caleb, thank you so much for filling in for Bryce. Shout out Bryce, even though you guys did rip him to shreds at various other points of this podcast.
Shout out Bryce. Congrats on the engagement.
Look. It's an honor to sit in this seat. All I was doing, Alex, was just saying what Bryce believed. I didn't do anything else. I do not deserve getting called guilty. I just said what Bryce believes. I said, you know what? I am in Bryce's seat. I will have to say something that Bryce says so that the audience can remember it. And I just chose to talk about how he believes in TJ Warren as an all-defender. That's it.
Can't wait for you to get back, Bryce. I'm telling you, I can't wait until TJ got to see Jimmy. I'm not going to go into it. Can't wait. Caleb,
Twins
are
at 14-2, by the way. I wanted to update real quick.
So,
that is terrible.
it's terrible.
You know it, AB. I love you so much. Fuck the Twin.
Solidarity.
Caleb, thank you so much for having you here. It was an honor going back and forth with you and having these different topics that we said and went over around about. Love it. Can't wait to have you on here again. Can't wait to see you continue to prosper on Linsanity. You great, man.
It's a privilege being on here. I was genuinely shocked that there were no mentions of steroids in the first 15 minutes of this podcast. But it is
in the gun.
Yeah, I know, but no, there was no mention. There was no mention, and I believe that is what potentially fans could have wanted. But I thought our discussions were very good between baseball and what all was going on in the sports world. There's plenty to unpack.
I wanted to withhold the steroids. I said, you know what? It's not the time. It's not the time. It's still early in the season.
Yeah, we were current. We didn't really get into the past much. We just talked about what was on right now.
That's history conversation.
Exactly.
I love the current.
So on that note, I think it's time to wrap up. I do want to promote some stuff. This is going to be coming out, like I said, on Monday the 27th. We're going to have a new Linsanity on Tuesday. I don't know which one just yet. Caleb and I will discuss off the air. But Caleb's done a really good job getting me Linsanities. We got the Circle City chat room on Wednesday. That's going to be Spider-Man 2, one of the best superhero movies of all time, really. And Zach told me this was more off the rails than the first Spider-Man's, and he said it was Uncle Ben's fault that he died, so I'm really curious to see how much more off the rails this one gets. On Thursday, me and Dylan Hughes are going to do our first of the NBA stuff. We're going to be doing a lot of NBA pods. That's going to be awesome. Then Friday, we should have a triple option pass for you. So this is a really exciting week. I think this is going to be one of the best weeks of content that we've had on the Running Hook, and that's saying something. We've got killer content. I also need you to make sure you check out JD's podcast, Facts and Stats. He did a really, really emotional episode. It was really good, really well done. It was about grief. And I produced that one too. So I just want to say, JD, that was a really well done episode. And I want to thank everyone for listening. Go check out all those pods.